How you doing, Jim? What's happening, Rich? What's happening, guys? Not long now, just waiting for Johnny to come on. Shouldn't be long now, he's second. Looking forward to this one, guys. He's an absolute gentleman. I'm sure you're aware who Johnny Nelson is. Former and world champion, cruiserweight. Yeah, we've had a good little talk today about mental health and that. Should be good. Here he is. It's just connecting. Here we go. Hey,
how you doing, mate? You're all right? You good?
Thank you, Johnny, for coming on, my friend. Thank you very much.
Well, that's all right. That's cool.
How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. I'm all good. I'm enjoying the making the most of the lockdown, should I say? Making the most of it and trying to read a bit, trying to just learn to do things that I've not had time to do.
Good, good. I can see the box in the background. He's got me already. Who you got on? Who are you watching?
Ray Leonard against Thomas Hearns. Wicked fight. The first.
Who was it?
Ray Leonard against Thomas Hearns.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. Yeah, that was a bit of some wars then in the days. Some great fights then.
Right.
It was the Agler and Hearns and all that was that first round. It was absolute, probably the best in history.
Hearns was a good one. And 3 rounds of madness that was, wasn't it?
Yeah, just proper. They weren't even just having it, weren't they?
Yeah, that's right.
It was just boxing. So you've been doing well though, John. You've been keeping yourself busy and everything.
Yeah, working out at home. I've probably put a bit of weight on, so I think we've all put a bit of lockdown lard on. So
yeah.
so it's just doing what we can do when you're at home, aren't you? So I turned into a gardener, I think, yeah, it's been all right. I think my dog's gonna have some problems when we go back to work because he's stuck to me. So it's gonna be a tough for him.
Well, thank you for everyone listening. I'm Robert Hisee, the UK's #1 unconscious mind therapist, and obviously we have the legend who is Johnny Nelson here. But thank you, John. So the idea of the talk is, I watched you. I can't remember. I see it now, but it proper had me. You were talking about mental health and talking out. I don't know where was it? I see you. I can't remember. You do a lot. See with Jack Fincham.
Was it this week or was it last week? And
yeah,
it was on Sky Boxing on Sky Sports YouTube channel.
You was also on Jack Finchem's one, weren't you? I think I see that as well.
Yeah, Jack. Yeah, nice kid, Jack.
Yeah, he's nice, Jack. So I see you on there, but I couldn't remember which one it was. But yeah, it was a real good talk, and it proper had me deep. And I mean, to hear you speaking out like that, and advising other people to speak out about mental health and that, and men to speak out. I think it was so good to hear stuff like.
I think it's most important, and unfortunately, we men are a bit stupid when it comes to stuff like that. We need a shove a bit of encouragement and unfortunately, if it's someone that's closest to us, we tend not to listen to them. So
it's true, yeah. Oh, shut up, don't we? Shut up, smack we are. Yeah, that's
that's right. So, but it's most important, and as I've said earlier, I've said many times, once you say things that are there, once they come out and you hear the words yourself, then all of a sudden you're kind of thinking, oh yeah, that actually don't sound right. It sounded right in my head until it left my mouth.
Yeah.
And that's the beginning. That's your first little step.
Just being able to speak out, and I think that's amazing because I was talking to I had an interview with Dame Kay Ums, and it's funny that she spoke about the same thing, that men don't speak out, and then with me it resonates a lot because I say 98% of my clients who come to see me are women. Men very rarely come. You do get them, but you know, men, as you say, men don't speak out, and it's such a shame because, you know, mental health and suicide. I mean, everyone's on about the amount of deaths of coronavirus, which is bad at the minute, but the suicide rate's much more at the moment, and people don't even look at those figures. They don't get a mention. So, you know, mental health's playing a big role in what's going on at the moment.
I think the more we push it out there, the more we talk about men not actually speaking out. It's not ignoring the women as well, but I think women, because women talk to each other, and even that alone, at least, even if the device is good or bad, at least they talk to each other and they get it out there. And so they're going to pick some good, they're going to pick some bad. Guys just don't, and the reason being is because I personally think it's because we think it makes us look less of a man. Makes us look weak. Makes it look like we can't. Ego is our biggest problem. Ego is the biggest maker and breaker of men. Because ego, if you let it control you too much, it can destroy anything you're actually trying to do. Because sometimes you've got to use brain over brawn. Brawn will get you so far, but then you got to use brain. You got to be sometimes play the fool to catch the wise. You got to
Yeah.
sometimes put your ego in check. Boxing is one of those sports where if you haven't got no control of your ego, you will lose a fight because your ego, you can wind people. Sugar Ray Leonard against Roberto Duran. Roberto Duran's ego was up there that first fight. He was on it. And the Roberto Duran, his ego was he was that arrogant with it. As far as he's concerned, it was his way or no way. The second fight, Sugar Ray Leonard used his brain to think, I've got to get inside this man's head. I've got to humiliate him. I've got to make him see his arrogance, his ego is out of hand. It's making him look like something he's not. And so ego, it's a transferable thing where ego it will affect every part of us. Men, we are the worst for it.
Definitely, it's that. And I said about men and women, as you said, like women talk, because when we were at school, like you couldn't say you was depressed to your mate, or as you say, especially at that sort of age, you're 13, 14, you can't show any sort of weakness. I mean, 14-year-old boys, they sort of turn into like Kevin and Perry, don't they? They don't want to talk about anything. We sort of just lock up, don't we? You're right, yeah, I'm all right, I'm all right. They get this little bit of a chip on their shoulder, and it's just because your mates all take the piss. That's how men joke. Like we joke, but I think as we grow up, we sort of grow out of it. We sort of understand the boundaries, but when we're young, we don't. And then people hold that sort of emotion of feeling stupid, and they just don't want to access that humiliation again. And it sort of makes it hard for men to speak. But in your life, John, have you ever come to a point where you've had to speak up? Have you ever suffered of anything?
You know, I was fortunate to have Brendan Ingle as my mentor, that guy I could speak to. Yeah, about anything. And this guy was so wise, so smart, so sharp. This guy, and now my line is, we all need a Brendan, and he or she can come in many different forms and in many different shapes and sizes. And Brendan himself, I learned so much from that man. Basically, you could have someone that's close to you, and they may not be the best person that can advise you, the best person that could lead you where you need to be led, the best person that can open your eyes and make you see how you're translating things wrong. It doesn't mean they're being mean. It doesn't mean they're being rotten. It
just haven't got the knowledge.
They just haven't got the knowledge. You don't see what you see, or they just give it from their point of view. And so if once you found that person, and you'll know who he or she is. Once you found that person, then be guided by them. That person might be good in your life for 5 years, for 10 years, for life, and then you'll come across somebody else. And that's how we all need a mentor. The most powerful man in the world, we've all had mentors. We all need someone to talk to bounce off, to bring the best out of us.
Can I ask you a question about Brendan? Because to me, obviously I never got to meet the legend, but he seemed like one of them trainers out of that camp. Everyone was. This is what I heard, that he taught the boxer how to beat them, not how to, this is how you stand, but that's how I'm going to teach you to fight. Is that true, John, would you say?
Yeah, without a doubt. He taught us he basically wanted us to express our personality, express who we are, express what we had there. And in doing that, it wasn't just about getting in the ring and hitting each other, hitting the bags or going up and down the line. It was about mindset. It was about how we spoke to one another, how we were with one another. Now, our gym was very politically incorrect, should I say. If you came in, you think, that's a bit... But trust me, they talk about multiculturalism now. Our gym was that for many, many years. And so what you do is, what had been done then, is Brendan made you break down all the barriers, made you talk, and made you communicate. And if you were kind of in your shell, he'd spot you, he'd see you, and he'd pull you out of yourself. And every one of us, from myself, Prince Hisee Hamid, just since down to the kids that have had like 1 or 2 fights, what had happened is he would take you under his ring, and he would take you with you everywhere. He'd go and see high rollers, businessmen. He'd go and see bin men. He'd go and see people that were working in factories doing 12-hour shifts. He wanted you to see every aspect of his life, every aspect of life, So you then had a broader horizon,
talk,
a broader
yes.
way of thinking.
Love that.
Many
Love
times
that.
we'd go to one of the hotels near Sheffield, and on a Friday or a Saturday morning, Sunday morning, sorry, we'd all have a sauna, all go in the sauna, and we'd all be sat down, and that's when a lot of people are working a hard 9 to 5 job, or working Monday to Friday where they're relaxed. I saw Brendan court an audience of police inspectors, judges, high-flying businessmen, and he'd be talking to them, just speaking common sense. And these guys were just talking to him, and we're all sat there. I'm like watching them all talk, thinking, I'm with him. You know, I was really proud, and he did it every time. And he said he was a fountain of wisdom, and he always kept saying, calling himself the thick paddy. And he's not silly. You know, sometimes you got to play cool to catch the wise. You go in his house. Yeah. His house was full of books about philosophy and all types of people from all walks of religion, from all walks of life. A very smart guy. But what the basis is for him to use, it was common sense. It cost nothing to be nice, and that's what it. Listen, he was no angel. Yeah. None of us are, but this guy taught us how to get on with one another, use common sense, and speak to each other.
I love the way you say that, because I studied the mind unconsciously, and I left school at 14. I'm dyslexic, I have ADHD, so I'm more against the odds as well. And you know, I'm getting people out of the house with anxiety, agoraphobia in 2 hours live on video, and people are like, "How can he do it? Can't even speak properly. Grammar's terrible. He's a cockney little white boy, and yeah, he's having his success." But I think it is the same as, like, you can educate yourself. You can use the common sense, and if you learn about, I sort of look at the unconscious mind. That's why. When I look at the unconscious mind, I don't look at what the cognitive thought is. I look at what goes on behind the scenes. And one of the things that I've studied is people's like neurology, their body language and stuff. And for me, what I loved about hearing the stories, obviously, about Brendan, is that, like, Nazim had that mad style. They go, you know, bend down low, and they go, right, that's how you're going to fight. Like most trainers, you took me out of the gym, they go, no, stand up, right? And they'd have one way of making one fighter. So every kid that comes through, and make them a bit like the schooling system, where he allowed them to go with their neurology and to bring the best out of them, you know. And that really got me sort of interested in Brendan Ingall's mindset straight away.
So let me tell you, so in our gym, we're all different types of characters. Nassim Hamid, as a youngster in his early teens, he was a man in the ring. You know, so when he was a man, he thought like a man. He was aggressive. He was braggadocious. He had it all going. Me, when I was that age, I was like a shy kid. I was just shy. When I left school, you're talking about being dyslexic. My handwriting, my reading was that of a 10-year-old when I left school.
Yeah.
And I got away with it all the way through. So I wasn't very confident about my intelligence, my academic intelligence, all the way through life. My social intelligence, I'm on it. I'm on point.
Yeah, we're popping,
I'm like, always try to avoid those situations. When I went through, as a fighter, you just got to train to fight, and you know how to read people, you know how to understand and get your way through. I was on it. I'm very good at people. I'm very good at human nature. Yeah. But then my life, it sort of changed when I started working at Sky. Then all of a sudden, it's not just I'm not using that to get me out of trouble. I've got to use that. You've got to think fast on your feet. Whenever I had an auto cue in front of me, I absolutely shit myself because I knew my reading was terrible, and I'd be sweating and everything, and I'm like, God, these people think I'm thick. You're not thick.
You just didn't learn it.
That's it. And Brendan was very good at bringing the best out of people. And if they weren't academically on point, if they weren't academically there, you know, it doesn't mean you're thick. It just means you're good at this.
Yeah, that ain't your thing.
These, in whatever it is, you're good at using these. You're good at using that. So everybody has a skill. So and even the guys I work with, and I'm an ex-fighter. So my merit is because I've fought and I've done it, then that's my merit. I'm not as clever as the guys I work with. Some of these guys have been to university.
I say this, but what is clever? How can you put the clever out?
Exactly.
I said, if I go to my mechanic, I could go, where's, well, ain't you changed the spark plug? I'd go, I don't know where that fucking hell, I don't know where the spark plug is. And then they'll probably go, oh, you don't know where the spark plug is. They'll laugh at me.
That's my point. So, yeah, that's one point.
But who cares?
So in a way, you're like, awkward because I don't know this. So all of a sudden we start to go in our shell thinking I'm a bit stupid. And so we all start, but then we start to doubt ourselves, think the worst of ourselves. And the team I work with, there are some amazing brains we work with. And I said, just my talent was boxing. Your talent is knowing who boxed who in 1955, what happened in round 4 and what day. I can't remember that. You probably remember more about my career than I do. But that is a talent. So we all deserve respect.
Yes, for each other's,
ways for our talent. But all these things, when these things happen, what happens is we start to, if we don't understand and digest it and break it down properly in our head, it puts us into a hole. It puts us back. It makes us think less of ourselves.
Yes.
And if we keep going deep down and keep going back and back, all of a sudden, it makes you down, brings you down, makes you a little depressed. And these are little things this is the beginning. And then you look at little things, you start thinking about all these things. Well, maybe I can't do that. Maybe I can't do this. And you think less of yourself. And so I've always said, if you won't, excuse my French, own your shit, own who you are. Don't be afraid of saying, well, I'm actually good at this. I can do that. If you can't do something, sit back and learn. Don't mean you're thick. Don't mean you're stupid. It just means I've got to sit back and learn.
If you can't play the guitar, that'll make you think. It means you ain't learned it. That's it, isn't it? It's the same thing. Yeah. And the idea of these talks I've been doing, Johnny, is that the idea of them when I started them was just throughout this time, I knew people were going to go in there self and do what you said. Oh, how bad's it going to be? I ain't got no money. There's no jobs. You know, what's going to happen? We could, you know, this virus is going to... And everyone was thinking about what they don't want. I knew people would go into that mindset. And I was just trying to make these mind talks, first of all, just to get people to face the right direction, for God's sake. Like, if you keep thinking about what you don't want and you keep going over and over and over it, you're going to become depressed, because when you can't see a future, that's what depression is. If my dad dies, I can't see the future without him, so I get stuck in thinking about him, how he died, and then I get in that loop of the thoughts from what I'm doing today to the past. That is depression. The only way you're going to move forward is to have something to move forward to. So what you're saying there is exactly what I want people to sort of understand, is that the stories that we tell ourselves, we've got to face the right direction. You know, questions we ask ourselves, and this sounds like what you're telling me about Brendan has taught you, is that, you know, if you ask the question, I said someone's overweight and they go, why am I so fat? Why can't I lose weight? Now, your unconscious mind ain't got a filter. It directs the answers to what you want. It ain't like you. You'll go, oh, Rob, you can do it. Your unconscious is going to go, because you're a greedy bastard. You're lazy. You're too much like your dad. Like, do you know what I mean? It ain't going to be friendly, because it ain't got a filter. You've directed your question that way. It's only going to look for the information to answer that question. So you've got to answer, like, I'll say, like, people should ask the questions like, how can I lose weight and feel good about it? They're the sort of more intelligent questions towards to attitude. Do you know what I mean? Sorry, John, you're interrupting.
Basically, you've got to get yourself into a habit of thinking positively. You've got to get into a habit of, when something shit happens, shit happens. So,
yes.
And I'll keep saying it over and over again. The only way we get wisdom is to go through experiences. But you've got to go through good and bad experiences. So when all the good shit's happening, yeah, you're loving it. But when the bad stuff's happening, you're like, oh, God. So the good stuff, we'll hold that there. The bad stuff will drag us down there. You need bad as well as good to get wisdom.
Exactly. I love that, John.
Well,
I love that.
I won't do that because this happened last time. So embrace when you get bad experiences. Don't let it drag you down, because you need that to get smarter.
They're both as important as one another, aren't they? Like, and they're both as important as one another. You learn from your mistakes and you educate yourself and you move on and try it a different way. And I say to people, you know, failure isn't real. It's only failure if you choose to give up and walk away. But I look at it as information. When you fail, there's always information there, what you could change next time. There's always information.
But you've got to be honest with yourself. And that's what it is. And that's why I'm fortunate enough now to look back on my career and look at what I went through. Now I understand it was a great path I went down, and I probably never change a thing. At the time, it was the worst thing in the world. The abuse I got, the slagging I got, the times when I felt like I was a coward and believed the negative stuff people were saying. At the time, it was the worst thing in the world, and I didn't know I'd be who I am today.
Yeah. But that's what gives you the character and the knowledge to be who you are. Yeah.
So, but looking back on it, I'm glad those things happened, because at times, and we can all look back at some point in our life and think to ourselves, this is the worst I've ever felt. And then we'll look back at that time and think, geez, remember, I thought that was the whole world. I thought there was nothing past that. So we make an issue. The biggest issue and make it our world is you've got to just try and keep thinking positively. So if you're in,
and when you say positively, you sort of went like this. Do you mean forward? It's forwardly, like towards goals.
Think past it. Think forward. Break it down. So I people used to say I was a coward, and actually believed I was a coward, but I just didn't understand. I mistook nerves for fear. It did.
Ah.
It took a while for the penny to drop. So when I was nervous and I had those feelings, sweating, thinking, "Oh my God, what's going to happen?" I thought I was scared, but it's
But
nerves. Everybody deals with nerves
everyone.
differently. But some people sweat, some people go red, some people go bald, some
And did
people.
you still manage? You still managed to go on though. You still managed to
Yeah,
get in and do the
but
job.
remember when I got in the ring, I actually was in the ring and I'm thinking, why am I doing this? And trust me, up until when I won the British title, I didn't think I was good. I just thought they were crap. And when I won the European title, I didn't think listen to the mindset I'm thinking. When I won the European title, I didn't think I was good. I just thought they were crap. You
That's
understand? So I'm
brilliant.
not
That is
thinking
brilliant.
positively for me. I'm just
That is a
thinking,
positive.
yeah,
It's still
I'm
a
just thinking
positive.
he's shit. I'm thinking, Johnny, you're good. That's why you did that. I'm thinking, so my mindset is back to front. It's upside down. So
This,
it wasn't until I had to hit rock bottom. I'd done all these things, and then I'd been lifted, and I was a bit of a name in my hometown. I was a bit of a name in the boxing world. I was lifted and slammed down, and then all of a sudden I had to learn about that. You had to learn and break things down where, well, what are you scared of, Johnny? What's the worst thing that can happen? And I'd look at the things. So most of the time, we look away from the things that make us nervous, make us feel uncomfortable, make us panic. So we don't want to deal with it. We put earphones in just so it takes our mind off things. If we deal with it and you look at that fear, make fear your friend. If we deal with it and we look at those things that make us nervous and uncomfortable, if we deal with it, then it's dealt with. So then when you're back to walking down your path to your aim, the thing that nothing's going to surprise you, nothing's going to shock you because you've dealt with it. But no matter what, if you keep looking away from all the things that make you uncomfortable, nervous, what happens is one day it's just going to jump out and get you right there and then. You've got to deal with it. Deal with every little thing and look at it, break it down. Physically, one of the best things I did now, and I knew I had to do it, was I won the British title. And we drove up from London, and Brendan, we got to. I drove to Brendan's house, and he said, "Don't drop me here. Drop me up the road." And there's a graveyard up the road from the gym, and it's just like 3:30 in the morning. We're back from London. He said, "Drop me here," and I'm sat in the car like, "Bren, where are you going?" He said, "Just drop me. I'm going to walk through the graveyard, walk home down the back." I'm started thinking, shit. And Bren, listen, because I thought his wife's going to kill me. If I'm dropping him here, he lives down the road. I said, Bren, no, don't do that, Bren. I'll come with you. But I'm shitting myself thinking, bollocks to that, I'm not doing that. So as Bren's walking and he's getting darker, as he's walking to the graveyard, I'm thinking, shall I go with him? But that means I've got to walk back through the graveyard to get to my car by myself. Or what shall I do? I'm saying, Bren, no, Bren, just come out. It's all right. It's all right. Don't worry. Boom, disappeared. Right, that's the night I boxed against Andy Strawn in Finsbury Park in London. Then it was on the undercard of Nigel Benn against Michael Watson. And so the next morning, instead of thinking I'm British champion, I'm actually thinking, shit, is Brendan alive? Found his out, Brendan Young. Yeah, I'm all right. I said, why did you do that, Brendan? He said, if you can get over your fears to win the British title, I've got to get over mine. Best lesson he learned. And
brilliant.
So as time went on, I'm still a nervous kid. So when I'm British champion, people are thinking Johnny Nelson, badass fighter. Used to shit myself getting in the ring. So as time went on, I thought I've got to deal with this. So then what I did was to deal with it because I kept finding myself in situations where, because I'd avoided dealing with things I couldn't deal with, because I looked away, didn't concentrate and think about the things that frightened me. They kept jumping out and get me when I least expected it. That's why I kept stumbling when it came to boxing for the world title. So it got to a point where I drove to Woollywood Bottom near the gym, 3:30 in the morning for my morning jog. I did 3:30 in the morning because I thought my opponent won't be up at that time. Number one. Number two, the Woollywood Bottom is just a wood. And you can see the odd street light from the street just coming through. So you can kind of see where you're going through. It's just a wood that goes round Woollywood, then go up the back, and you have to come back down through the graveyard. I thought, right, I'm going to do this. And if you'd have seen me, remember, I'm British champion. I'm like, I'm there. I'm like, come on, Johnny. I'm still there. Beginning of the woods thinking, come on. What are you scared of? And I'm trying to get my head around it because I was papping myself before I can go on the road where the lights are or go through the wood. No, I'm going through the wood. Then how I broke it down was I said to myself, what are you scared of? What's the worst thing that can happen? Obviously, someone's going to jump out and get me. That's what I'm thinking. Somebody's going to jump out and get me. But then I thought, well, Johnny, check yourself. You're a big,
Yeah,
6'3"
fucking
fella.
British
You can
champion.
fight. So what's he gonna think when he sees a big 6'3" black man running through the woods, shadow boxing? He's gonna think, "I'll have him."
Yeah,
This is what I've got to say to myself.
yeah,
So he's not gonna think you can't fight.
yeah.
He's gonna think. So I'm like, "What are you doing?" So I'm thinking, I'm having a word with myself, thinking, "Come on, Johnny, have some faith in yourself and some belief in yourself." This is what I'm thinking in my head. So I did the run. Absolutely, I must have lost about 8 pounds in sweat, nervous energy. Anyway, I got through the wood. I'm so glad I did it. But then,
Brilliant.
slowly but surely, I kept putting myself through exercises where I found comfort in uncomfortable situations.
Oh,
So if
okay.
you get comfortable, feeling uncomfortable,
Yeah,
eventually nothing will make you uncomfortable. So what happens is you will feel confident to walk in any situation, in any crowd, anywhere, be anywhere, sit with anybody, because you're comfortable feeling uncomfortable. And so and
well
that's
then.
the beginning of a positive mindset. You think, I'm all right here. I'm not, because not many people can do it, because we don't do it. You see people running with earphones in their head. Now they do that to make the run a little easier, because the brain's not listening to the body. It's listening to
Yeah,
the music. It's getting through it.
yeah,
So your knee might be hurting, you might be gassing out, you're tired, your back might be hurting, you're thinking, I'm tired on this run, how long left? The music will get you through, nice pace will get you
yeah.
through it. But you're not training that. You're training your body, but you're not training that.
Training your mind.
Because if you take those out, that starts listening to your knees, listening to your gut,
Yeah, yeah,
listening
yeah,
to that negative little voice
yeah,
that says, let's turn back. I don't want to do this anymore. You know, that's what this starts to do. So
yeah.
you've got
It's
to train that as much as you train that.
genius.
And if you train that correctly, it doesn't have to be anything radical. If you train that correctly, you will be able to deal with any situation going.
And did you use this is on the way to World Championship? Was it all these sort of learnings, running through the
Yeah,
woods and building the mindset?
yeah, I had to, because I boxed for the British title. I won the British title. I got the Lonsdale belt. I had a crack for the world title. I was 22, 23 years old in my hometown in Sheffield. Up to that point, remember, I didn't think I was good. I thought they were all crap. So all of a sudden, it's my day of reckoning, because I'm boxing in Sheffield in front of all these people, all my people that know, for the world title. And I think, God, they're all going to know I'm a hustler. They're all going to know I'm the hustler. They're all going to know I'm bullshitting. So now I'm popping myself even before I've got in the ring. So I drew. The worst fight ever, but I drew for the WBC title. The abuse I got, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. It took me 5 years to get over that, because people just had to mention it. And it made me feel ashamed, feel embarrassed. And I thought, I'm a coward. And I actually believed it, because if people keep saying to you, you're no good, you can't do this,
You're just gonna
if
start
you
to
listen
believe
to
it.
them, you're going to believe them. If you keep listening. So what you've got to do is, you've got to get to yourself to a stage where you think, this is what I'm capable of doing. It doesn't matter what you think. This is what I know I can do. You've got to be honest with yourself. So years of getting stick in abuse, eventually you become hardened to it. You either make you, break you, or make you. Now, when I got it, I will tell you, it was not an easy ride. So when you're getting abused, when you're getting stick from people, it's hard. It's human nature is, yeah, I'm only human like everybody else. It was hard. It was depressing. It was low. It was down. Trust me. I didn't want to come out of my house. It's the worst ever. So in boxing, it's very different from having any other job. Because when you go to work and you have a shit day, your boss will say, you were shit today.
Yeah,
Give you a bollock and it's done. You box. If you box shit, if you or do anything bad in the fight, you've not got one boss. You've got thousands of bosses, because everybody thinks they have an opinion to tell you how good or bad you was. And you've got to swallow it.
yeah.
You box crap. I saw your fight. What a wanker. I used to get all that sort of stuff, but from everybody. Men, women, children. But you've got to swallow it. You've got to accept it. So that if that's not going to drag you down, getting it every day, day in, day out, and everyone sees you, nothing. So mentally, you're thinking, I'm a pariah. Nobody wants to know me. I'm like, all these things people are calling me. You know, you start to listen to it, and it gets you down. And so this is where now the only person you've got is you, unless you find yourself a Brendan. And your Brendan, will talk you through history. Your Brendan will tell you, a line he kept saying to me is, same story, different actors. So what he's saying is the same thing that's happened to you today has happened to somebody else in the past and back into history. But he found these people, famous people, and he said, look at his life. Look, because remember, he's well read. He understood. He looked at history, read books, he read philosophy, and about presidents and all that. So so what he do is they say, look at what happened to him, and look at where he ended up. So how do you think he got from there to there? He had to go through a journey. So what you have to do is you have to make fear your friend. Own your shit. Believe who you are or who you are. At the moment, Johnny, you have not got the confidence to match your ability. But time will tell, and you will get the confidence to match your ability. And when that happens, you will never lose again. At the time, I was an amateur that I had 13 amateur fights. I only won 3. I lost my first 3 professional fights. So even becoming British champion, I'd swum the channel. And he said, no, you'll be world champion. I'm like, really? What a shit. You know, so this guy knows, he understands, if I listen to where he's going and what he's saying, I'll do anything. The amount of talented fighters that were in our gym that were much, much better than I was, but never achieved half as what I did. And now they look back and they've got nothing but frustration or they just feel bad about themselves because they didn't listen.
Switch the mind.
Do the right thing. They have to switch that. And that,
I'll say this to people.
if you didn't fix it then, it will affect every part of your life going through family, friends, job, relationships, where you live, your neighbours. And so you've got to fix that.
Yeah. Because part of your makeup of who you are, like your mechanics, yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be who I was. I wouldn't be who I am today if I didn't meet Brendan.
And when you so when that happened and you got the draw, and I know you beat yourself up and everything, how did that go? Because you got the record still, didn't you, for like having the WBO for the longest period of time on cruiserweight?
Yeah, defending world title, 13 defenses of the world WBO cruiserweight title. So it set a Guinness Book of Records. Funny enough, 13 title defenses, and I had 13 amateur fights, and I only won 3 of them. So kids that fight, especially when it comes to sport, and it's not just boxing, kids that are coming through, they think if you fail, if you lose one, if you lose a race, it's over, you're no good. It's the best thing that happened to me. It's the best thing that happened to me. Now I look back on it. Now when I see fighters coming through, I say, you know what? You've had it too good. You need to.
Too easy.
You need to be in shitsville for a while. Just to.
Well, in a way, no disrespect to Naz, but in a way, it sort of ruined his career because once he lost that one fight, you know, in my opinion, I see people like Ricky Hatton, Mike Tyson, Prince Nazim. You get these fighters with this unbeaten career, and they lose that one fight, and they never really get that mindset back, that belief.
That's it. And so basically, a loss is actually the make or break of you. Now, these fights you're talking about, how many of them have been through something that's adversity in a fight and got on with it, you know, and got up and won. And I don't just mean fighters, I mean sportsmen and women. You've got to go through adversity within your sport, within what you're doing, and then have the mental strength to get through it and move on, because it will make you so much better, so much bigger, and so much more successful if you trip up, so things are hard, you get through, you power through. Now, Naseem Hamed was an unbelievable,
one of my favourites, yeah.
But unbelievable talented fighter. The problem with Naz was he believed in his hype. So he believed in his hype. We were always told, never believe in your hype. Good or bad, whatever they say about you. If they say you're the best in the world, you know, and you don't believe them, you know what you can do. If they say you're garbage, don't believe them, you know what you can do.
You do, yeah.
And so if you're honest with yourself and you use that, nobody will be able to touch you. But once you believe in the hype, if you trip up, you think, damn, I'm no longer this person. And you actually believe, you're like the people that actually don't do what you do. They're like the people that watch you.
Can I ask you a question about, like, there's a story like, it even sounds like the English custom motto to me. I used to love all the custom, I used to educate a lot on the way his mindset. So I like greatness, yeah? And you always find these characters like throughout your world. And Tyson's Brendan was custom motto, in my opinion. And when I listen to custom motto, like some of the things he said, like, what's the difference between a coward and a hero? They both feel the same emotion, but it's what the coward doesn't do that makes them a coward, and it's the hero. So even though I was thinking that earlier when you said you felt the fear, but you still got in there and done it, you know. And another thing is that I loved about him is that he taught Tyson how to go towards people. It was in a towards to attitude. It wasn't coming away from what you're not good at. It was back going towards him. And I remember Tyson on some interview or some documentary I've seen, he said he was training with Cuss, and this guy who was fighting, I can't remember who the fighter was, and he said his jab's weak. And Tyson himself said to him, like, what are you talking about? He's got the best jab in the industry. He said, that's what makes it weak. It's so predictable. Now we've got to go towards that jab. And Tyson said every other trainer in the world would have gone, stay away from his jab. He said, we're going towards it, we're going in it, we're going to come under. And he said he learned me to attack the jab. He said, where I was short, you know, the jab was my killer. That was the thing that could keep him away, you know. And he said, and I love that mental attitude of the towards to attitude. It seems to shine through in everything.
Rob, everything's possible. Everything's, you can always find a way to deal with anything. Anything, you can always find a way. It's about mindset. It's about how you look at it. How I deal with a lot of my problems was, if I went for a run in the morning, I think a problem that I thought could never be solved or dealt with, and I couldn't find a way, I'd go running, and it just opened up my mind. I'm thinking, well, what way, what is it possible? Just because we don't know somebody that's done it or succeeded, that's created that success, doesn't mean it's not possible.
You've got to see it yourself.
You've got to think it to yourself. You think, how can I do this? How can I achieve the impossible? That's why we see cameos of brilliance, because people do something, think, oh yeah, that's how it's done.
But
anybody can do it. It's about mindset.
It's a bit that old what's his name, Roger Bannister story, isn't it? For 200 years, they were trying to break the 4-minute mile. They couldn't do it. As soon as Bannister done it, they were saying like in 2 months, like 20 other runners to beat it as well. Because once they could see it, they'd believe it. But what made him so intelligent was that he see it in there himself first.
So we've got to mentally conceive it to physically achieve it.
Achieve it, yeah.
So if you, and that's belief. That's belief and owning in your heart. And when I talk to businessmen, to youngsters, to many people, when I do these talks, what I say is, if you can see it there, just because nobody else has done it, it's possible. I remember seeing Ali.
I love it.
And Ali was talking about when he was fighting George Foreman. And all the people around him were really saying, Ali, don't take this fight, you're going to get till blah, blah, blah. You can't do this. He said, the difference between me and them, all these people, and I mean everybody around him, even in the dressing room, he said, come on. You know, he's G'ing up his dressing room saying, come on. They're all thinking he's walking down the gallows. He said the difference was I'd walk and I'd see above and beyond the clouds and see what I could achieve over there, see where it was at. They were below the clouds, so they were worried about the little potholes. So they're tugging at my what about this, Ali? He said, no, don't worry about that. And he said the difference was they couldn't see what I could see. My dreams, my ambitions were much more bigger than theirs. So he didn't resent them for what seemed to be a negative attitude, because they didn't see. They couldn't see it. Once he could see it, he said, just follow me.
He's one of my I study Ali massively, the mindset of Ali, not the boxing, the more the mindset. And he wins the Olympics in 1960 and he says, I am the greatest. I'm going to be the next heavyweight champion in the world. Everyone thought, who's that flash git? Who do you think he is? He's only 18. He's just went in big enough yet. He'd get ironed out. But when I studied when I really looked into him, when he was 12 years old, Ali said that I used to visualize myself. He said, my TV was in my head, basically. He said, when I'd be out running through the woods, right? He said, I'll be seeing myself holding up the belt, combinations, buying the houses. He said, and when I'd be on the ropes, I'll be holding up the belt. He said, since the age of 12, I've done that. So the time he got to 18, when you visualize internally, the unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what isn't real. And this is what I teach people all the time, is to practice visualizations, because any greatness you speak to, if they understand it, if they know it or not, they're going to run a visualization process, yeah? Especially world champions, premiership players, Tiger Woods, anyone on the elite category will think in vision at a big level. And he said that, he visualized it. So the time he got to the Olympics, he wasn't wanting to win the Olympics, and the way he trained his mind from such a young age, he expected to. That's a big difference of confidence.
That is the difference.
He expected to win it. He didn't want to. He was already seeing himself further down the line as the greatest.
And that's the difference. And that is a lesson learned. So what you do is, and this is, when I trained, I did everything. So once the penny had dropped and I realized I'm just as good as the next man, once I trained and done everything, not cheated at all, ate right, slept right, trained right, prepped right, I expected to win.
Yeah, I love it.
But when I got in the ring, I didn't think, I hope I win. I expected to win.
It's just how.
I'd lose. Once I won the world title, I never ever thought I'd lose, because I expected to win. And the only time I worried was after my last fight. It got to the point where I thought I could happily stay in bed if it was raining one morning and not go jogging. I'm thinking, you're getting complacent here. There's not enough fear out there for you. I remember, Brendan, when Naz was coming through, you mentioned that about Ali. Brendan said to Naz, Naz is from the Yemen. Excuse me if my geography is wrong. So Brendan said in the Middle East, the population is over 40 million. If everybody paid £1 to watch Prince Hisee Hamid, to watch Naz, he's the first Yemeni boxer to do something special. If everybody paid £1 to watch him, you make 40 million. So at the time, everybody thought, Brendan, you're a nutter. What are you talking about? So Brendan could see. This is pay-per-view before pay-per-views even
Pay-per-views even out. Yeah.
So if you paid £1, if you paid £1, they'll make 40 million. And like everybody's thinking, yeah, right. Naz ended up making over, I think he must be what, 70 million deep still. He made
70.
ridiculous money. He made
Wow.
ridiculous. But at the time when Brendan said it, people couldn't understand Brendan's vision, what he was saying, what he could see. You know, they just couldn't get it. Naz was an unbelievable extraordinary fighter. But Brendan's vision, Brendan's sight, Brendan's understanding of what was out there, what he could achieve, wasn't there. It was there. You get youngsters coming through, do you want to be British champion? Some want to be Commonwealth, some want to be European, some want to be world. It's about your expectations. I never wanted to be a British champion, never wanted to be a European champion, I never wanted to be Commonwealth champion, never wanted to be a world champion. I don't know what I wanted, but each time I got it, it wasn't enough. So once I won the British title, I thought, is that it? So for some kids, especially coming from my amateur background, think, yeah, that's it. Boxing didn't define me. So once I won the British title, I didn't think I was complaining that I've done that. I thought, is that it? So I was always hungry.
What's the next level?
Once I won the world title, I can remember looking at my ex-wife, my ex-wife now, at the time, thinking, I just did that shape of a house. I thought, we'll buy an house. But that wasn't it. I didn't think that's me done. I thought, is that it? I want more than this. And so the difference is, it's about where you draw your line, where the top of your mountain is, what your expectations are. So if you make your expectations like the next man, then that is your dream, that is your drive. But when you get to your dream or your drive, what are you going to use to drive you when you reach that goal? And because it's a bigger mountain to climb. What's going to be your motivation to get up at stupid o'clock, to diet, to train, to kill yourself in education, in anything? It's not just sport. You're going to make your expectations, your desires so high that people think impossible. Let them think that. But if you can see it there, you can achieve anything.
It's brilliant you're saying, because I've done some work with Jamie O'Hara, ex-Premiership player for Tottenham, and I work with him about visualisations, mindset, and teaching him, you know, the processes to fall. And he didn't realise he was doing it. He said, since I was a kid, all I'd done every day was see myself playing for Tottenham. And he got picked up by Arsenal and as he was a kid and all that, played for Millwall and stuff. And he said, when I got to Tottenham, he said, I lost a bit of my passion for it. He said, because what you're teaching me now would make sense. He said, I'll never see myself. Once I got there, I become like, well, I'm here now. And I got on the pitch, I had the wow moment. He said, but I've never raised my standards. I never said, I should be playing the biggest goal scorer. I should be now visualising, going into the England team, the England squad, the first team. He said, I've never done what I've done. He said, I never knew what I was doing. He said, people used to say to me, how'd you become a Premiership player? And he used to go, I ain't being flashy. It was easy. I just played football. I see myself playing for Tottenham. And I played. He said, that's all I could understand. He said, and after that, it sort of took to him a little bit. And he said, he wanted me and him to we're talking about in talks now still about going into Premiership teams with the same thing, because a lot of young kids have got the ability, just like boxing, but they never make it because they don't have the mindset to move forward, the vision. And then you get ones that get in there and they get to a certain level, their football starts to drop because they're not creating that next level of success. Then you've got it when they come out of the game and they become gamblers and alkies because they're not creating a new level of, and it happens in boxing as well. People go into the booze and stuff and they don't visualise, right, I'm coming out of boxing, that's all I know. Well, you need to create a new future, a new...
So I'll give you an example of a fighter that exactly that happened to. Brian McGuigan. Go on YouTube. It's time to do it now. Go on YouTube. You look at Brian McGuigan when he was coming through his career, and his promoter's time was Barney Eastwood over in Ireland. I just loved Brian McGuigan. Every time after the fight, he'd say, "Thank you, Mr. Eastwood. I want to fight for the world title." Every time, massive fight. It was a great double act. And then when he won the world title, I remember being there watching the fight, and Brendan said to me, "That's him done." I thought, the guy's just won the world title. So what do you mean? And he said, He said, and he said, listen to the speech afterwards. So all of a sudden the language changed. I've done it. I've done it. I've done it.
Gotcha.
His belly was full. He said he'll lose that.
Gotcha.
He'll lose that. He'll lose that within 1 or 2 defenses. He lost it, I think it was in his 2nd or 3rd defense, because all of a sudden that drive had gone. That drive, I've done it. So what I'm saying is, you've got to set your standards, set your ambitions ridiculously high. So even when you get high in comparison to most people around you, you've got to keep that drive, keep that hunger, keep that ambition going. It's just little tricks we have to play with our mind to keep ourselves motivated. And the problem is, so when people find themselves down and depressed, what we do is we need to somehow get our brain to understand and translate what's happening in front of us. Because you might see something and say it's black, I might say it's grey. So it's our translation of what we see. Our translation.
It's our perception, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the difference.
Well, anyone that I'm listening now, and what I've been teaching people is that everything gets made twice. This is what I've been pushing throughout this, is to teach people that everything gets made twice. And a good way of explaining this, John, I say to them, is if you look around the room you're in now, now take away, accept what comes from nature and the earth in its original form. So except for trees, plants, cats, dogs, wind, rain, sand, snow, and all that, take away in its original form. See if you can find me anything in the room you're in, anyone at home now, that never started as a thought. One thing. Yeah, so you don't count because you're human. You come from nature and the earth, the oxygen, but everything else, it started as a thought inside a human's brain. It got created inside the mind, then it got created outside here as a thing or an object. And I'm trying to make people realize that so do you. If you ain't seeing a future, you ain't creating your next level of you, it ain't going to happen. You're only going to repeat what you... See, who we are today is our thoughts from the past. That's who we are today, all of us, no matter where we are. But who we are tomorrow is our thoughts from now. So it has to get made twice. If you can't see yourself, and what I've learned is by talking to a lot of boxers, who like British champions or whatever, they see themselves. Some of them see themselves chunk up. So like yourself, you chunked up. You see the British, and you thought, well, they're crap. But you still think the next guy's crap's going to win that one. However you've done it, you still chunked up to another level until you got the big vision. Right, I'm undefeatable now, and then you created the next level of, and you chunked up into that. And then some people like Nazim. I'll tell you, little Dennis McCann, I had him on here, mate. What a mindset he's got. I mean, I've had quite a few boxers on. But that little kid, my cousin rang up, and who was that? Conor McGregor's love child, she went to me. It was so like, I won't even wear the British title. I don't even want them belts. I don't even care. He's so focused for the big picture. That hunger, that pull in him excited me, you know what I mean? Because I thought he sounds like a McGregor. He sounds like a Prince Nazim. He sounds like a Miami Dali. It was that. And you can teach this to kids. You can actually teach kids to think this way. But everyone's different. Like, what Brendan sort of works at it. You have to chunk people up sometimes, and some people can just go big picture. There's no wrong or right. It's just, but as long as you're working towards that, and that's the great thing.
But that's what it doesn't have to be just in sport.
No, in your life, in everything.
Family.
Yes.
It can be in work.
A new car.
I always say, and boxing is like life. And so say if your goal is, I don't know what you can see, but if you can see that TV behind me, that's your goal to get to that TV. This is life. So on your way to get to that TV behind me, you're going to be distracted by family, friends, job, money, death, life. You're going to be distracted by all these things. So everything is all these things are going to try and get you off getting to that TV there. Oh, I've got to deal with this. Oh, I've just had a baby. I've got to deal with this. Oh, job.
Take your focus.
And so all these things take us away off our goal. And what I'm saying is, I'm not saying neglect all these things. What I'm saying is, keep your goal, keep your focus there in front of you.
Yeah, all the time.
Deal with these things. And if you deal with these things, you deal with them. But that's my goal, right? That's my goal. If you want, you can achieve anything. And that's why I say, if I can end up retiring undefeated world champion.
Brilliant.
I left school with no qualifications. They walked me to the top of the drive out of school. I love going to school because all my mates went there so I could have a laugh. That's what I wasn't clever. I had the handwriting of a 10-year-old, the reading ability of a 12-year-old. If I can do that and end up in the position I am, can you imagine what you can do? Because
do you know what?
Academically, you're head and shoulders above me already. Confidence-wise, you're head and shoulders above me already. So I had to start late. I boxed in my gym, in Brendan's gym from the age of 14. He wouldn't let me fight until I was 17. I was that
Really?
shit. And so I was that shit.
Really? Seriously?
I was that bad. I'd hear kids at ringside as I'm
That's
in the ring
mad.
sparring saying, "What's this kid here? He's crap." But they wouldn't say it behind my back. They say it in front
That's
of me.
your
I can hear him.
face.
You understand? So if I can go through all that there
Fucking brilliant, John.
and do
That's
what I
brilliant.
can do and end up doing the job what I'm doing, people that are watching this can imagine what you can do. So,
Exactly.
and it's not impossible because I'm no different from anybody else. I ain't no one special. I get as excited when I see somebody famous like you. I think, oh my God, but I've got to be cool. Like it's no
Yeah,
big
yeah,
deal.
yeah, yeah.
I'm a giddy kid like everybody else.
Yeah, yeah.
If I can do this, you just got to be learned to be honest with yourself. You've got to learn that the tricks and the patterns to chase your goal. Find a goal. Find a Brendan, and get him to help you, him or her,
Focus.
to help you get to the goal. Everything's
And
possible.
John, I'm going to do a little mix up in a few weeks' time or something. But all the people I've spoke to are really successful since I've been doing this. Like Wayne Lineker with his visualization and Lineker bars. He left school early. He was crap at school. Dapper laughs crap at school. Dame Kelly Holmes said she was useless. She hated school. She finished it, but she said I was terrible. I mean, all the most successful people I've spoken to never done well at school, and I think there is a lot to say about that. And I'll tell you why. Not that I'm not running down any academic intelligence at all, because we need it massively. I wish I could be more academic. But what it does is the schooling system, it takes away our creativity. So sometimes what we think is our pain is actually our fucking gift, because the schooling system takes away our visualization, our creation. I'll give you an example. You give me a 4-year-old kid, what do you want to be? I want to be a boxer, Uncle Robert. I want to be a rocket man. I want to own an ice cream van. Then that kid leaves school at 18. You go, what do you want to be? They're like, you can see the fear colour dry out their face. I don't know, I'm going to go to college, Uncle Robert, and I'm good at maths. Like, they're so scared, because what happens is, the school academic intelligence teaches us to focus on what we don't want. So, and I know what we don't want. Teaches us how not to make mistakes. So, for one, you get 1,000 kids in a school, right? So this little 4-year-old has got all these dreams. Start school by the age of 7. 1 minute they're going to a nursery school. There's some crayons. There's some books. You know, there's some draw on the wall. There's some plasticine. Be creative. And all of a sudden they start the proper school and they go, stop drawing on your book. This is how you spell. This is how you write. This is how you colour in. And if you don't do it how I'll teach you how to do it, I'm going to mark you as an F. And the little kid goes, what's an F, miss? He goes, it's a failure. Well, I don't want to be a failure, miss. Well, all you 1,000 kids in the school got to do the same thing the same way. And if you all don't, you're going to be failures. That's what they're saying to you. So then these kids that go, oh, I've got to write the same way and shape the same way. And they all go through school trying to find this intelligence that they're telling us what it is, which is taking away our creation, which human beings are. Because, as I say, look around the room you're in, or inside and outside of every building on the planet, except what comes from nature and the earth, would have been created as a thought from humans. So this is what we do. And they take away that. And academic intelligence, if you're not careful and you don't teach your children visualizations and the mindset in which you've been talking, like Johnny, is going to be very dangerous, because your kid's going to end up being a good worker for someone else's dream. Now, that's okay if working for someone else is what you visualize, but if you're just doing it for money and just to be safe, you're not really going to, you live the same day of your life for 35 years, you know?
You look at the education system, you've got people that are academically intelligent enough to teach you and I about math, geography, history, whatever. They're smart, but for life, there's only one. There's very few teachers that can teach you that as well as life skills, simple life skills. And so in doing that, this is where we're dumbed down a little, because we think when we've left school, we spent all that time in school, then we think, what am I going to do? Because I haven't got the qualification to make sure.
That's when the real training starts.
That's where the training starts. So my education started when I left school. And what I'm saying, I don't want to encourage kids to think, well, it doesn't matter if I don't do well at school. What I'm trying to say is, if you don't succeed, your academic qualifications are a great backup. But if you don't succeed, it's not the end of the world. And why we lash out, or why we lashed out why I lashed out, is because I thought I was thick. Because I thought,
same as me, John. Same as me.
Thinking I'm stupid. So, but that's not the case. So let me give you an example. This is how what we do is, as adults, we put layers on ourselves. Our layers are our scars. When something bad happens to us, we put a layer on to protect ourselves, so we don't want to deal with it. As a youngster, we're naive. We know nothing. My school, it was a Catholic school, St. Vincent's. It was predominantly white. I think it was probably about 4 black kids in the school. Obviously, me and my sister. but two of them. And so in the school, I can remember when we started at school, it was Christmas, coming to Christmas, so we were building a manger. So most of the teachers were nuns. We had one or two non-nuns as teachers. So there was a teacher called Mrs. Rigby, and her daughter was in our class. And so I was given the task with her daughter Bernadette to paint Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. So everybody had done all the work, making a manger, making a stable, doing the cows and everything. And so at the innocence of a child, and so we'd almost finished. We got the statues of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. So I started to paint Jesus brown. Because in my innocent youth, my head, I'm thinking, well, he's not white because he's from a hot country. Yeah. So he's a bit of a tan at least. I don't know where he's from, it's Jesus. So as a youngster, it's what I'm thinking. There's no angle to it. So Bernadette went absolutely in. Oh my God, what's he done? Mom, I started calling Mrs. Rigby Mom. He's ruined it, he's ruined it. I'm like, what's happened? I'm innocent. You know, I'm not thinking like everybody else. I'm like, what's happened? He's ruined it, he's ruined it. And Mrs. Rigby went, you two, come here. So Bernadette kept saying, Mom, he's ruined it, instead of saying miss like the rest of us. And I'm like, well, what's wrong? What have I done? So she said, you've ruined it, you've started painting Jesus. And so as a youngster, I'm saying, well, he's from a hot country, he's not from England, so he's not going to be white, he's going to be at least a little bit brown. So Bernadette's saying, no. And I'm saying, but Bernadette. And so I'm trying to reason with her, as I can remember it, clear as day. I'm trying to reason with her. And so obviously Mrs. Rigby now is in a situation where she's her daughter, so she's trying to calm down her daughter, but she's got to deal with the situation. Stupid me, still going on Bernadette saying, Bernadette, listen, as a youngster, Mrs. Rigby went, blab!
No!
In my face. And like,
shut up.
I still know, I'm like, shut up, Johnny! I'm like, so shut up. So bottom lip went. So she went, sit out, Bernadette, don't worry. So that was it. I forgot about it. Got home that day after school, sat down, and
you there, John?
Jesus, again, sat down, and are you there?
Yeah, it's come back now. It went all funny, but it's come back. Okay, can you hear me, mate?
So I got, yeah. So I got home from school, and sat down. I thought I'd just got in trouble. I didn't want to tell Mum. So my mum said, how was school today? I said, it was all right. She said, what did you do? I said, we were making a manger, and Bernadette got upset, and we had to go to the desk. And Mrs. Rigby, she told me off. She slapped me because I wouldn't shut up. I was still, most kids had to shut their mouth, but I was a bit like, you say what you see. Yeah. So my mum's like, really? Anyway, so the next day, my mum usually walks me to school, and by the time I got through the gate, I see him walking down the hill, down Holly's Croft, back home. So this time I'm turning around the next day, Mum stood there with her arms folded. I'm thinking, what's Mum doing there? I'm thinking they're all parents are talking and everything. We went into class. As we went into class, they start doing the register. Next minute, boom, my mum kicks the door open. I thought, shit. So I thought, what have I done? Because I thought I've done something wrong here. My mum walked straight up to Mrs. Rigby. She said, are you Mrs. Rigby? She went, yes. She went, blam! Don't you ever put your hand in my child's face again. I'm like, oh shit, all the kids started screaming. And so she said, I don't even put my hand in my kid's face. Don't you ever do that again. Yeah. So Sister Catherine, her office is close by. She came storming down. What's happened? Dragged us all out. And so I thought I'd messed up. I thought I'd done something wrong.
You thought it was your fault, yeah?
Yeah, I thought it was my fault.
It's not.
But what I'm saying is, as a youngster, we are so innocent and naive, and we're so coerced by academic qualifications and intelligence. Yes. We neglect common sense. So by the time we've left school, we're lost. We're thinking, well, our dreams, our ambitions, what we wanted to do, what the things that our mind created to say we can do this. All of a sudden, we're dumbed down to think, well, is that what you really want to do? And so this is where your problems start. And this is where you think, if you can use that and you let that grow, you look at musicians, you look at singers, they're so creative. You look at artists, they're so creative because their mind has had a chance to blossom and to do the things they do. I never thought I'd be a boxer. I never wanted to be a boxer. In my family, I was a crybaby. I was the one that they all used to take the piss out. I was Mr. Pissbed. I pissed my bed until I was like 11. You know, I was a proper crybaby.
It's
So
mad,
my
isn't it, John? How
family
things
look at
change
me
around, isn't
as
it?
if they're saying,